sitting in Birmingham in my hotel, my motel, where I used to live. And I said, fuck this. I said, it's got to come down to a fucking head. So I was working out with all these steroid freaks, and one guy, Johnny Alfano, had an M16. And I asked him, I said, could I borrow it? And he said, yeah. And Johnny was like, so he gave me the M16, and I had 700 rounds. So I brought that back to the apartment. Then I went to Radio Shack. And those little alarms, like they sell at Radio Shack, you put the little thing in the door, and if the door opens, it beeps and shit. You know what I'm talking about? I bought those. I took out light sockets. I had tripwires all over the apartment. I bought myself a gallon of white label. And I sat there, and I had the M16, I had the 700 rounds, I had like 7 magazines loaded, and I decided this is going to be it, man. This is going to be like Custer's last stand. About 10 o'clock, I get on the phone, and I called every Wiseguy that I knew in New York. I had a yellow Volvo. I told them the Volvo. I told them the license plates. I told them the address of where I was living. Finally, I called Nino's house. And my cousin Michael, my godson, answered the phone. And I told him, I said, Michael, this is where I'm at. Blah, blah, blah. Now, they had a tap on Nino's phone, the feds. When they hear this, they freak out. They go, Dominick's going ballistic. All right? What happens is the same tap comes through on NCIS or whatever they call it. So the Birmingham Police Department sends out a SWAT team. All right? Now, I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I see like all these fucking police are coming up with these trucks and dressed like fucking ninjas and shit like that, and I'm going, So I threw a few shots, they threw a few shots, and that wasn't the big deal. What the big deal was the next morning, because I had the bandana on him, and I was Rambo before Rambo. I was just sitting there.
You shot it out with them.
I didn't shoot it out with them.
No?
We traded shots, but there was no big time. I didn't have 50 bullet holes. I had like 4 or 5 bullet holes in the building because I stopped, they stopped, and then it was like a confrontation. But then what happened was they found out who I was, and they call, and I asked Pergola when you interview him. Him and Art Ruffles come down the next morning. They fly down from New York. And they just, at my door. Dominick! I said, Frank. He said, yeah. He said, open the door. I said, fuck you. I ain't opening the door for nobody. I'm going to die in here. And we went through this whole thing, but eventually, they get me out of there. Now, the Birmingham Police Department wants to file charges. And they just said, no, you don't understand. This is like the most protective federal witness that we have in the history of the United States. There's no way you guys are going to prosecute him. And they just whisked me away out of Birmingham. And I went to Albuquerque, where I met Susie. The rest is history. I spoke